All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome into today's edition of In the Game. I am your host, 𝗏𝗏𝗀, and as always, we're going to be diving into the markets. We're going to be diving into the crypto gaming altcoin landscape, as I do think that this little bit of a Bitcoin pullback that we have, down about 1.5% over the last 24 hours, I think we could see even a little bit more of a pullback, but I think this is a great opportunity to load up on some of the top crypto gaming altcoins. I'll go over my thesis on why that is, as well as some of the altcoins that I would be eyeing during this time period. We're going to keep it short and simple today. Like the video and subscribe down below for more every single day here on Banter and on In the Game. Quick shout out to our sponsors as well. Bybit, for all of your trading needs, you can sign up for a Bybit account down below in the description. NordVPN, always navigate safely and securely when you're navigating the crypto landscape. NordVPN down below. And last but not least, the top tier gaming ecosystem in all of Web3, Vulcan Forge. The conviction I have in Vulcan Forge genuinely is top tier, and love having them as a sponsor here on the show as well. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Like I said, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback in the markets over the last 24 hours. And if we were to pull up the bubbles on the daily, there's a couple altcoins that are still above, in the green. But for the most part, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. My coin market cap on my phone was giving me lots of notifications that this alt's down, 5% today. It's 10% today. So there are a bit of, pullback going across the markets at this moment in time due to Bitcoin kind of taking a leg down. But some of the altcoins have really shown strength and maintained those levels that we've talked about here on In the Game, like Verasity. Veracity's still up 25% over the week, and that's one of our favorite technically low cap altcoins at about a 55 million circulating market cap. Altura's showing some pretty good strength as well, above that 3.5 cents level. It's still up 35% for the week. And even Avalanche, one of the top market caps out there. I believe, it's still a top, I can't see it here. I think it's still like a top 20 token here, if I'm not mistaken. But, as by market cap, up 15% this week. It's not too bad of gains here for Avalanche. And we have a lot of conviction on these three projects: Avalanche with their subnets, Altura with their gaming SDKs, and Verasity with their ad technology, their esports streaming. A lot of them have a lot to offer, and it's good to see the strength of some of these altcoins that, got hit hard. We take a look, since February, some of these altcoins have really gotten hit hard. So it's great. And Altura won't really have, it got up here to about 5 cents, but it's really good to see that recovery on some of these top projects. And we're seeing that recovery due to a couple reasons. Obviously, the big rally in Bitcoin since we had this ETF news, the Binance, Coinbase, all these things that came out obviously brought us to a level that, it was max pain as far as news goes. The only thing that could have really sent us lower was if Binance was an FTX situation, which I don't really see that happening at this point, right? We probably would have already seen those cards out on the table if that was going to be the case. But another thing is we're seeing a lot of sentiment go into liquid staking's getting a lot of liquidity and sentiment in the market right now, but gaming is a very close second, if not right there with liquid staking as far as the narratives go on some of these altcoins that have had some of the best performances. And as we're seeing DCL blogger 𝗏𝗏𝗋, and he has really good, I would definitely recommend following him if you're in the crypto gaming or metaverse space. But as he says here, in the next 12 months, we're going to see large electronic and game retailers starting Discords, pushing their whole user base towards gaming, metaverse, and introducing them to the world of Web3. Massive entertainment studios in 2025 will connect NFT experiences to theme parks, movies, and applications. By 2026, he says the large game publishers will add interoperability, launch metaverse initiatives, and onboard their sponsors, partners, to their suite of games and metaverse. And in the next 12 months, we're going to see major sports brands creating Roblox and Fortnite experience to grow a Discord community and slowly introduce them to Web3, add loyalty, Discord token gating, and NFTs at IRL events. And a lot of people would be like, why do these big businesses need Web3? because the loyalty, the attachment, the stickiness that you can garner your audience through Web3 experiences, loyalty structures and engagements, major risk of irrelevancy. They need to innovate to be able to maintain that attention. We're in such an attention economy. They have to continue the innovations, and they can't stay stagnant in the same ways that they've been building for the last couple of decades. As we see here, the next generation of spenders are not reachable via television ads. They're on Roblox, they're on Fortnite, and that's so true. The next generation is digital. The next generation is playing games. They're on their phones, they're on their iPads, their laptops, and they're playing these gaming experiences, and then connecting full ecosystems of business with multiple touch points, selling tickets, talking to a fan at an IRL match, digital Discord, movie experiences, tracking fake goods and supply chain validation. So these are some of the reasons we talk about a lot of these on In the Game over time, why NFTs in video games make a lot of sense, why NFTs in big businesses makes a lot of sense. And we're seeing this shift day by day. GameStop, whatever you think of GameStop, right? To a lot of people, GameStop was the big distributor. When I was a kid, I would have to go to GameStop and I would buy a game over the counter. And I would go in and we would camp out at midnight to go get a Call of Duty game, right? Things have changed a bit. The narrative around GameStop, whatever you think about it, due to the stock situation a few years ago. By the way, that movie looks awesome. I'm going to definitely check out that movie when it comes out. But we see, and I'm hearing rumors about a lot of different things with what GameStop's loading up here. They partnered up with Elixir Game Launcher, a significant collaboration to create the GameStop player distribution platform. I'm hearing GameStop is loading some sort of a launcher, some sort of a game launcher. Think of it like a Steam, like an Epic Game Store, like an Ultra. I hear that they're gearing up to build their very own game distribution platform. And it makes perfect sense because GameStop, like I just said, was the game distributor of my generation. And now it could also maybe resurface as a major player and a major game distributor in the Web3 space. So definitely something to keep your eyes out on. And the growth that we're seeing in Web3 gaming, you can't turn your head to it at this point. We've seen 70 billion spent on in-game purchases in 2022. We have 700 blockchain games that were launched in the last year and 23 times more transactions than the DeFi space. This right here tells you that the digital economies behind games, behind metaverses, behind experiences that have NFTs baked inside of them, these are getting the most engagements. This stat right here should tell you all you need to know. We're at a state of crypto games that there's not a top tier game yet. We haven't had that landmark product come in and just shock the space and get 1 million users overnight. That will happen. And this number, the more transactions in the DeFi space, that's going to even catapult even higher. So this narrative is the one that I am watching the closest, right? So I tweeted this over the weekend. Which gaming or AI altcoins are you most bullish on long term? Let me know in the comments down below. But I kind of categorize them, right? By the chains, I'm thinking Matic, Avalanche, IMX, and Arbitrum. And we're going to go kind of deeper into these quickly. Studios and platforms, I'm looking at Vulcan Forge, Gala, GameSwift, Ultra, as aforementioned. Infrastructure and hybrids, I'm looking at Altura. I'm looking at Verasity, which we spoke about both of those at the beginning of the show. I'm looking at Remark. And then as far as AI, I love Render and Ocean as far as long-term plays. But some of these actually made Bankless's top tokens likely to survive through the next cycle. We all know projects die. They stop development. They run out of money. They need to fundraise more. There's just not enough of a narrative or not enough of a use case for some of these products. Some of my favorites landed on this list. We have Matic at number 2. We have Arbitrum at number 8. And we'll talk about, I'm not as bullish on ARB itself, but I'm super bullish on the platforms underneath it. And I'll be waiting to get in on Arbitrum due to one thing. And I'll go over that in just a second. And IMX at number 9. So there's quite a bit of, NFT gaming, I would just say layer 2 more so, layer 1, layer 2 type of exposure here with stuff like IMX, Arbitrum, and Matic. So I'm very bullish on those projects. As far as Matic, it goes without saying, the businesses that they work with, the games that they work with, they're literally one of the board on the board of people kind of committeeing to Congress about how blockchain innovates and helps businesses. You can't help but be super bullish on what Polygon's done to this point. And I'm going to continue stacking up my Polygon at these prices. I do actually think that, after the max pain that we've saw, let's just go to the monthly chart. From 90 cents to 64 cents at this point, I do think you're kind of starting to open up and see some really good accumulation levels for something like Polygon. I'm still waiting for my accumulations on stuff like Immutable and Arbitrum. And here's the reason. So right now, guys, I own no Immutable. I own like enough Arbitrum for gas fees. But the reason being is these diluted market caps just need to come down. IMX has monthly token unlocks at this point, which could drag the price down. And if we don't see an altcoin explosion, it could lag behind. But if we see an altcoin explosion, which I will tell you my thesis here at the end of the show on where I think this market is heading. But if we see an altcoin explosion, IMX is definitely going to run right with it, as will Arbitrum. So the advantage that Arbitrum has is they haven't seen any sort of bull market. And neither has Immutable, but they launched in the bull. So their all-time high, I don't know that that's going to come back through, right? $9.31. It's pretty steep. They launched at the peak of the 2021 bull run. But if you look at something like Arbitrum, this is fresh. They don't have all-time highs to look back on because this token's only been out for 3 months. So I think that Arbitrum probably even has more explosive potential given that fact that there's not really much historical data to go off. And if this thing bursts through all-time highs, it's officially in discovery for, X amount of time. And if we see the altcoins explode, Arbitrum's definitely going to have a big narrative there. But the diluted market cap scares me away here. 11 billion compared to a 1 billion. There's definitely some room for early investors to dump some tokens. But at the same time, your risk reward here, I actually think is pretty solid. All-time lows here for Arbitrum are about 90 cents. We're at about $1.13 right now. If you believe that altcoins are going to run, I actually do think Arbitrum's probably a stronger play than something like Immutable today. But I'm betting on Immutable for the long term. So those are off the bankless list. But underneath Arbitrum, I see more like gems, more gain potential to be had. Stuff like Magic, which has like 15 plus ecosystem games underneath the Arbitrum ecosystem. And when I talk to builders in the Arbitrum ecosystem, the number one thing that they say is they want to connect with Treasure DAO, which is Magic. They want to get involved in this ecosystem. They want to tap into their technology, tap into their player base. So Magic definitely has a strong narrative. And at this market cap of 188 million, I think this has a lot of room for growth here in the short to especially the long term heading into the next cycle as far as crypto gaming is concerned. And then around the corner, we have a token launch coming underneath Arbitrum. This is kind of like the DeFi kingdoms, which I actually was going to talk about at the end of the show. We'll get to that here in just a second. But Sparta token is going to be launching very soon. I'm really hyped up about Sparta DEX. It's the DeFi kingdoms of the Arbitrum ecosystem and the Arbitrum chain. Gamified yield, you can level up your assets, you can, level up your lands, you can do a lot of different things as far as the Sparta ecosystem. And on July 3rd, their SHO on the DAO Maker platform will start. So it's like their first launch. If you're an investor in DAO Maker or you're able to get some of those early rounds, Sparta DEX will go live on July 3rd. And that'll be a great chance to grab some Sparta that lies ahead. So I'm very bullish on Magic and Sparta DEX as far as the future. And I think that Gala, I really, they've obviously taken quite a tumble since last all-time highs. We saw 74 cents after the Meta announcement here. But at the same time, despite some of the things they've said, right, their founders and their team is like, we don't care about your ROI. Don't buy our tokens. Don't buy our NFTs, this and that. But at the same time, when you look back at it, they're just covering their ass as far as the SEC is concerned, security is concerned. They're really just trying to make it like, don't expect Gala token to be an investment, right? They really just want to paint that picture, so they kind of steer clear of the SEC, which I completely understand. But Gala has the most playable games, the most fun games, the most multifaceted ecosystem. And they just mentioned that they're going to build a social media app that they're getting major adoption from other businesses and other platforms and other industries. So they're already in games, film, music. I think that we see them expand even further. I think that Gala also is a very good accumulation in these time periods. In that 2 cent, we're at 2.5 cents right now, you know, that 2 cent range. I think that long term, you're going to be well ahead if you bet on Gala in these time periods, similarly to Vulcan Forged. Gala and Vulcan are very similar to me. Game studios, game blockchains, because Gala has their own blockchain, you know, infrastructure as far as allowing games to come in and use, you know, their platform, launch with Gala, launch with PYR, etc. But PYR has the Metascapes platform, which is a metaverse as a service. You can go in and you can build your own metaverses. And they're really trying to lower the barrier of entry, which I appreciate. You know, as a Web3 gaming day one in this industry, it's always tough because you want to try something, but you have to have a wallet. Yeah, you can't sign in with anything else, right? So Vulcan Forge is making it where you can sign in with an email, Google, Facebook, Discord. You can still use MetaMask, but at the same time, they're opening this up because they need to support traditional gamers. And we want this industry not to be Web3 gaming in a few years, right? In our little bubble, we can call it Web3 gaming because that's what it is. It's Web3 enabled games. But in the future, we want this to just be gaming with digital assets as a layer on top of it. So that's what Vulcan Forge is heading towards. And if we take a look at the market cap here, I mean, it's about 6x undervalued as to what, you know, as to what Gala is. And it's still about 2.5x undervalued as to what Treasure DAO is. So I think that this is the lower cap alternative, but I'm very bullish on what Jamie Thompson's building. You know, Scaramucci's one of their backers. They've really made a lot of strides over the last couple of years since the last bull run. And this is one of my highest conviction plays in the entire gaming space. So that's just to go over some of the tokens here that I listed on my tweet. You can go, you know, 115 bookmarks on this one. So people were definitely keeping tabs on these, but these are definitely some of the platforms that I couldn't be more bullish on heading in to the next cycle. And then stuff like Remark is on that list. They're more layer ones getting enabled, ZK EVMs. They're not just Polkadot and Kusama anymore, which I think is bullish. They need more narratives and they need more integrations to continue their token growth. And at an $18 million market cap, this has tremendous upside potential for those who can stomach short-term volatility. I'm looking at WAGMI Games to make a big move this summer. If we actually take a look here, it recently made a pretty solid leg up. But then if we look at the 7 days, it's kind of sideways. And over the last, even if we just go to, you know, if I can get this right. Yeah, we could just like, I'll go back to the 7 days, make it or the month to make it easier. You know, it's taken quite a bit of a tumble here. So you're actually seeing this kind of level out at this, you know, price range. I hate quoting these price ranges because it's like 0.00005, but at the same time, it's kind of, you know, it's very stagnant at this price level. I think it's a really good accumulation. $10 million market cap. This alongside Vulcan Forged, as well as DeFi Kingdoms, actually, just to put these all in a bucket. They all have a single catalyst coming this summer that's going to put all three projects in front of 300 million households. So the average person who's an investor in the stock market or maybe has a Coinbase account, right? They're going to get exposure to some of these other projects this summer through an avenue that's going to get out to 300 million households. So I would definitely take a look. I can't really say more than that at this time period, but these three projects are going to have massive exposure this upcoming summer. And DeFi Kingdoms has really impressed me because of the strides that they've made. They used to just be a DeFi game, and now they're actually making it more of a well-rounded gaming experience. So I have to tip my hat to the DeFi Kingdoms team because they are doing quite a bit of impressive work over at DeFi Kingdoms. Last but not least, my thesis on where this market's going. Right now, we're seeing Bitcoin still hovering right above that 30K level. And for me, I think that we're going to continue to see a bit of a rally up. I actually think that in the short term, I heard Kyle today kind of mentioning potential targets around 32. I think we might go a little higher than that. I don't know that this is the actual catalyst to start a bull run, but I do see 32 is in play. 34 is in play. And I have a lot of people in my circle that, I mean, they are better short-term traders than myself. I'm more of a long-term investor. You guys know that if you watch the show. I'm a spot accumulator, and I like to accumulate my positions at value market caps and at value prices. And I'm willing to hold those for the next cycle for that eventual adoption. But the traders that I know in my circle, they're not ruling out 40K. It's really interesting to see. They really think like 35, 40K is in play in the next, month, 2 months, etc. I don't know that I'm that bullish, but even if we get another leg up to 32 or 34, you're going to see altcoins run quite a bit. So I think you have really good opportunities here. I don't think you've missed it quite frankly. Sure, don't go chasing 𝗵𝘂𝗶𝘃 up 63%. Don't go chasing Nakamoto Games, great project as well, by the way, up 54%. Don't go chasing Altura because you feel like you missed it. Scroll down on that watch list and, just take a look at some of the stuff. Vulcan's only up 6% this week. Hasn't really ran that much. Stuff like Polygon's only up 6% this week. So if you find those gems that are really just kind of in that middle ground, they haven't gotten away from you, it's a really good time for accumulation, in my opinion. And I do foresee this rally continuing for the short term. So guys, like the video, comment down below your thoughts on the market, your thoughts on your favorite crypto gaming altcoins, as well as subscribe to the channel. We have shows here every single day, not just crypto gaming. Obviously, this is what I think eventually, no offense to the other guys, I think that this niche is eventually going to be the biggest use case in crypto. I think that this is going to have the biggest audience as far as the mainstream goes. Games are never going to die, and gaming has to adapt over time, and it's going to come to Web3. So I'm just here putting in the work in the meantime, and I'm trying to hold you guys' hand through it all because I see this being the biggest industry in crypto, and I'm really happy to kind of help you guys along the way, show you what I'm seeing as far as the markets go, and update you on the big businesses coming into the space because we're seeing it every single day. I can't wait for the eventual adoption of crypto gaming and Web3 games to actually be at the forefront of, this space because we've been speculating on it for years. We're getting closer every single day. And I do think that this is eventually going to take over as far as Web3 goes. But we don't just have gaming. We have fundamentals. We have TA and charting. We have DeFi, AI. You can find it all here on the Banter channel. So subscribe down below. And I'll be back later this week with another show. As always, play well, my friends.